What's going on everybody, my name's Leaky Tatsman and this is another video in my mini-series of games which I feel need or deserve sequels, and for this part I'm going to go for arcade games. Now, by arcade I mean Xbox Live Arcade / PlayStation Network, so downloadable titles that in their own right have been pretty amazing, and at present there's been no inkling of a sequel or another in the series. So as with the others, I'll give a brief description of the game, why I enjoyed it, why I feel it could do with a sequel. These aren't necessarily direct sequels, but other games in the series just because the gameplay is so solid. But anyway, one arcade title that I would love to see another game in the series is Bastion. Now, for those of you that have seen my top 10 Xbox Live Arcade games of all time, you'll know that I rate this game very, very highly. I gave it number 2, if I recall correctly. And essentially what it is it's an isometric, I guess you could say, dungeon crawler. It has RPG elements, it has hack and slash elements, it has adventure elements. It's just a combination of a lot of different genres, but it does them all so well. It has an amazing art style, really, really phenomenal. It looks the part, it plays the part, it sounds the part, the narrator is really quite a unique twist. And all in all, it was just a blast to play. It wasn't too short, it wasn't too long. It's great value for money, it has a lot of replay value, and I would just love to see another game in the series. I mean, really, there wasn't that much they could improve on. I'd just like to see more of the same. Another arcade title that I would just kill for a sequel is Shadow Complex. Now, I said that I rated Bastion highly, well, I rated Shadow Complex even higher. This was my number 1 arcade game of all time. Made by Epic Games. It was almost like a retail title in terms of quality. It was unbelievable. For those of you that don't know what Shadow Complex is like, it's almost in the mould of the old Metroid and Castlevania games, so it rewards exploration, it rewards multiple playthroughs. It's got really good graphics for an arcade game. The gameplay was awesome. You could go all guns blazing, you could go stealthy, you could upgrade your gadgets, you could level up. It really, really just had so much going for it. And the story was actually really quite good as well. And the fact that as a downloadable title it put a lot of retail games to shame just goes to show you how good this game was, and I would love for Epic Games just to pick up this series once again. And it sold really, really well as I recall, so hopefully this isn't out of the question. Alright, another arcade game I would love to see get a sequel or another game in the series is Cloning Clyde. Now, a lot of you probably have no idea what I'm on about when I say Cloning Clyde. It was actually one of the first downloadable games for the 360 as I recall, back when Xbox Live Arcade games used to be just 400 Microsoft points and under 50 megabytes. But this was really, really quite a great game. It's almost like a platformer with a lot of puzzle elements. You clone your guy, hence the name. You use him to figure out different puzzles. You make multiple copies of yourself, say you can use a switch or something. I'm doing a really poor job of describing the game, but it was really, really fun to play. It had a great co-op mode. The only thing that let it down was the length. It wasn't incredibly long, but it was still amazing value for money considering it was only 400 Microsoft points. It's a game that is criminally underrated, I think, and it had a great sense of humour as well. Explosion Man reminded me of this game in a lot of ways, so I'd love to see some kind of sequel for Cloning Clyde. Okay, another one. Alien Hominid. Now, this started out as a Flash game actually, and then moved its way onto Xbox Live Arcade, and I was a huge fan of the title. It was made by the same people that made Castle Crashers, and I personally preferred this game over Castle Crashers. I thought it had a better sense of humour, I thought it had more solid gameplay, I thought the levels were more interesting, the bosses were better, and although it was quite difficult, it wasn't like cheap difficult, it was trial and error, and it encouraged you to get better. But if they brought out a second Alien Hominid game, added some online co-op, beefed it up in terms of content and rewardables, then they're onto a winner, because the first game was great in its own right. Okay, another game I would like to see a sequel for, or another in the series, is Braid. Now, Braid is one that I'm sure the vast majority of you are aware of in some form. For those of you that don't know, it is essentially a 2D platformer with puzzle elements. You use time travel to traverse through levels and collect items. It really has some ingenious puzzle elements to it. It really does make you think about what you're doing. The art style was really, really fantastic. It had awesome music. It was a very peaceful game to play, and I would just love to see another game in the series. Okay, one more arcade title that I would love a sequel for is Outland. Now, this was made by Ubisoft, and it is really, really quite a stunning game. The art style is crazy good. It's almost like Limbo, but with colour. In fact, it far surpasses Limbo's in my opinion, and I'd go as far to say it's the best looking Xbox Live Arcade / PSN game going. But outside of it looking great, it plays great too. It's essentially a 2D action platformer, focuses on combat quite a lot. It focuses on changing between red and blue to go through the levels. You basically need to change according to how the level is set up, so you can change on the fly. And again, I'm doing a really poor job of describing this game. I suggest you watch the video. But it had awesome boss fights, the combat was fun. Again, it rewarded exploration like Metroid and Castlevania. And it should be mentioned in the same breath as the top games on Xbox Live Arcade, because it is really that good. So to see another game in the series would be really, really awesome. And we have 2 more games in this video. One more arcade title I would love to see get a sequel of some kind is Renegade Ops. This game kind of took me by surprise. It wasn't even on my radar, and then I got it for free with PlayStation Plus, which is a great service for discovering some gems, by the way. It plays kind of like an old school top-down shooter, but it has a structured mission set. It's more open in its gameplay, really quite nice graphics, great art style, you can level up, good boss fights. And although I'm not a big fan of the genre in general, it goes to show you that if it's done right, then it can be really quite an impressive game, and Renegade Ops was just that. And I think a sequel could just do the series a world of good. Just simply add more levels, add more vehicles, more rewardables, take it up another notch in every area. Because Renegade Ops was a blast to play, so seeing some more of it would be really, really good. And finally, to cap off this video, an arcade title that could do with a sequel or deserves one is Dust: An Elysian Tale. Now this game came out very recently actually. It was part of the Arcade of Summer thing that Microsoft do with their 360 downloadable games. For those of you that don't know what it's about, it's a 2D game. It's almost like an anime in its art style. Again, this is a game that's in the mould of Metroid and Castlevania in many ways. There's a lot of secret pathways to take. You can upgrade your character and come back to locations, and new pathways open up. The combat was really good, if a bit hack and slashy, but I could get over that. Had some awesome boss fights. It was just a very, very addictive game, and astoundingly, one guy made the whole game, which I think is just incredible, especially when you look at the production values on the game and the fact that it's a really long game as well. It's not just a few hours. So if this same guy can be bothered to make a sequel, then he would get my undivided praise, because making the first Dust was an incredible feat, but to make another would be just phenomenal, especially if he could keep the quality the same. Dust was really a hidden gem in many ways, because I think it got lost in the shuffle with the other games that came out in the Arcade of Summer, or Summer of Arcade, but truly a game that is worthy of getting more attention than it does. So there you have it, my list of games that I think deserve sequels or other games in the series, specifically aimed at Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. As always, I'd love to hear games that you think deserve to be carried on. Give some opinions on the games that I've suggested, whether you'd like to see more of them or whether you wouldn't. I always read every comment, so I look forward to your opinions. If you could like, that would be fantastic. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.